We're going to jump into a discussion about this awesome graphic novel, Quentin by Tarantino, in just a second. But before that, I have my own comic series out, and we're running a Kickstarter for the second chapter. I have a cool video I put together for that. Then we'll get into Quentin by Tarantino. If you don't care about my comic and just want to hear about Quentin by Tarantino, jump ahead about a minute. Thanks. Social Studies follows a group of friends through high school. The story is told through the prism of the 90s cartoons the creators grew up on and love. It's a comedy written like a sitcom and exaggerated with our own unique style. If Nickelodeon knocked on our doors and said they wanted our version of a Nicktoon, this would be it. We explore themes of friendship, belonging, and self-discovery. These themes are wrapped in an excitingly hilarious package. With a unique blend of storytelling, vivid artwork, and relatable characters, we are confident you'll find something to love about Social Studies. The stories are loosely based on the creators' own lives. Artistic liberties are taken to heighten the stories, comedy, or drama, or, at times, to make them slightly more believable. Chapter 2 is a wild ride. New love interests, first dates, old enemies, grudge matches, new friends. We get out of the school and let our characters loose on the wider world. The whole thing wraps up with an extra long Christmas special, just like the ones we all grew up loving on TV. Whether you're a new reader around the same age as these characters just entering high school yourself, or you're looking for a hit of nostalgia from when you grew up, this is a ton of fun. Huge thanks to Titan Comics for putting Quentin by Tarantino on my radar and giving me a chance to check it out. Obviously, a book with his name piqued my interest. Written by Amazing Ameziane, sorry for the pronunciation, Quentin by Tarantino is a biography that focuses on, you guessed it, the work of Quentin Tarantino. The graphic novel isn't actually an autobiography, but it's set up in a way that feels like a cross between one and Tarantino interviewing himself, I guess. The narrative follows Tarantino's career in chronological order while injecting bits of his real life into the mix. The graphic novel approach allows visuals to be shortcuts in storytelling and getting emotions across more easily. It also adds a unique way to give winks and nods to the readers that a traditional novel wouldn't be able to include without disrupting the flow. We get a great look at Tarantino's beginnings, how he formed his unique style, his impact on the medium, and his thoughts on the state of the movie industry. The narrative copies Tarantino's style by telling the story in a non-linear way, with asides and guest spots from faces we all know and love from Tarantino's filmic universe. We don't spend time with baby Quentin, but we do go pretty far back into his past. Before writing and directing was his trade. We meet a Tarantino falling in love with movies and clerking at a video store. We go through all of Tarantino's works, things he helped with, consulted on, wrote, and not just what makes up his core 9. There's a ton of information for all the movies that were really eye-opening, even to someone who thought they knew quite a bit about what went into everything and has spent many hours on YouTube hunting down every interview I could find. I spent a lot of time writing down some of my favorite anecdotes from the book, like the fact that Kill Bill was going to be an ongoing series, or that Inglourious Basterds was an entirely different project that sounds just as cool as the version that we got. I realized that this video would have ended up being about 5 hours long, and I would have given away everything that makes the book worth reading. So, I'll sum it up with what probably sounds like nothing more than a sales pitch. No matter how much you think you know about Tarantino and his work, there's new information in here for you. As I read the book, it stopped being a graphic novel and became a novel that was being dictated to me by a Tarantino impersonator. And I mean that as a compliment. You could hear it in his voice. I could read the person's body language and facial expressions firsthand. At points, even the novel aspect almost disappeared, because when you can hear and everything in the person's voice, it feels more like you're experiencing it than reading it. The visuals of the book gave a lot of opportunities for Easter eggs, cameos, and alternate reality scenarios. If things had gone a different way in many of his projects, the visuals of the book give a lot of opportunities for Easter eggs, cameos, and even some alternate reality scenarios, exploring how things would have gone if the movie ended up one way instead of the way it ended up. The whole thing is done and colored with what I consider a very 70s style vibe. The same vibe that comes through in all of Tarantino's movies, even if the setting of the movie doesn't match up with that at all. I'm sure many of you listening to this are thinking exactly what I was first thinking when I heard about this book. How good can a biography be about somebody without that person being involved in it? I was worried it was more of a fantasy and wouldn't feel at all true to the man. Those fears went away quickly. There's a ton of sources, all cited, and everything I knew previously lined up with what the book said. I would say this is just about as accurate as you can get without Tarantino himself writing it. Quentin by Tarantino is a standout graphic novel. It's great for any movie lover, even if you aren't normally a comic reader. My wife, for example, devoured it, and I can confidently say this is the first graphic novel she's ever read. And keep in mind, I write comics. The biographical elements mixed with the fun of his movies and his sense of humor, Tarantino's movies and a sense of humor that feels very Tarantino, creates an educational tribute to one of, if not, the best director in the industry. Quentin by Tarantino is available now wherever you get your comics and in a lot of places where you get your books. It's a good-sized graphic novel that'll entertain you for quite a while.